Womp, a car out of Womp. I pray this devil die and get every evil thing the Lord got to give. And listen, I know you look at us in the state we in right now. Come here, SHALAM. Come here, SHALAM. I know you look at us in the state we in right now. Black people on drugs, and we suffering and dying. And I know it seems like you can do whatever you want to this people. I know it seems like this, but the time for glorifying yourself is soon at an end.
That's being spoken of in the book of Jude. First, let me ask everybody a question. What is an angel in the biblical context? What does the word angel mean? Come on with it.
Is it the spiritual beings that the powers that help create the world with and under the commandment of the Most High?
No. That is not what an angel is in the Bible. So what does the word angel mean? Like you gave an example of an angel, heavenly beings that help the Most High create the universe. That is an example of an angel. What does the word angel mean? That's what I'm saying. He gave an example of an angel. I want to know, what does the word angel mean? Officer Knock.
Is it like a messenger?
Messenger. The word angel means messenger. You understand? A messenger of the Most High is what the word angel means. So now what can an angel be? Are angels only the heavenly beings that the Most High created to assist him in creating the universe? Is that the only thing an angel can be? Who else can be an angel?
Like a prophet or something?
Yes, prophets can be angels. In the book of Jude, the angels that are being spoken of are the men that the Most High chose to be his messengers. You understand? Now let's read the book of Jude and see if we can understand the context. You want to know where we at, brother? We at Jude, the book of Jude in the New Testament, towards the end of the Bible. I believe it's about a book or two before Revelations. And we're going to start it. Yeah, New Testament. New Testament, Jude, and we're going to go to the 4th verse. The brother's question is in the 6th verse. But we're going to go to the 4th verse to see if we can get an understanding. All right. Let's hear it.
Jude chapter 1 verse 6. Verse 4 is like that. For there are certain men crept in unawares, who were before of old ordained to this condemnation, ungodly men, turning the grace of our power into lasciviousness, right, and denying the only Lord God and our Lord Jesus Christ.
So what is this talking about?
It's talking about brothers that basically denied the Most High. They was ungodly.
So brothers that denied the Most High, they were ungodly, meaning they did not want to keep his law, statutes, and commandments. You understand? And because they were ungodly, they gave themselves over to doing wickedness. Read on.
I would therefore put you in remembrance, though ye once knew this, how that the Lord having saved the people out of the land of Egypt.
Who did the Lord save out of the land of Egypt?
The Israelites.
Children of Israel, right? Read on.
Out of the land of Egypt, afterward destroying them that believe not.
Now, after the Most High freed the children of Israel out of Egypt, what did he do after that?
He destroyed the ones that didn't believe.
He destroyed the ones that didn't believe. All the ones that didn't want to obey Moses, what happened to them in the wilderness? They died. The Most High weeded all the wickedness out of Israel in the 40 years that we were in the wilderness, so that only 2 men made it into the promised land that left out of Egypt. That was Joshua and Caleb. They were the only 2 men who lived in Egypt that survived the 40 years in the wilderness, because everybody else was killed by the Most High for their wickedness. Everybody understand? Let's read on.
And the angels which kept not their first estate,
And the angels which kept not their first estate,
but left their own habitation, he have reserved in everlasting chains under darkness.
He have reserved in everlasting chains under darkness. Now, it goes from, it went from us being in Egypt, the Lord bringing us out. It went from Moses and us in the wilderness, and all the men who didn't want to follow Moses dying. Then it goes to the angels who kept not their first habitation, right? That the Most High is reserved for punishment and everlasting darkness. So once we left out of Egypt and we went into the wilderness, what happened next? What was the next thing? What was the next phase of our nation after we got into the wilderness? He cleaned us up. Raise your hand. He cleaned us up. Then what? After he cleaned us up,
set us in a new land.
The Lord set us in a new land. When we got to that new land, what was next? Same brother.
When we got to the new land, started to build us back up.
How did we even get settled in that land? What did we have to do?
We had to travel to that new land.
When we got there, what was there? Do you know?
Yeah, it was. I think it was the Canaanite. No,
other nations were there. So what we had to do?
We had to fight.
We had to fight them. Once we fought them, we got established, right?
Yeah.
We settled down. We was a nation then. We had our own habitation. We had the promised land. We had the place the Lord had promised us and had given to us. We took it. We living in our homeland, right? That was our habitation. What we did next was we left that habitation and sinned with the other nations. We wanted to be like the heathens and follow their customs and worship their gods and have sex with their women. The angels left their first habitation. Everybody understand? Then what? Then because we turned our backs on the Lord, the Most High promised what to those that disobeyed him?
He have reserved in everlasting chains under darkness.
Everlasting chains under darkness. What is the everlasting chains under darkness? Slavery. America. Being hooked on drugs, not knowing your nationality, not knowing who your father is, not knowing what land you come from. You understand? That's the everlasting darkness. Is talking about slavery. It's talking about the condition that we're in today. This what we're living through today is a direct result of us sinning against the Lord in the past. Everybody understand? We had a habitation, we had a place of rest, but we disobeyed the Most High, and because of it, we were destroyed. You understand? That's what this is talking about. You got it, Trooper Mahar, right? Marah, Trooper Marah. You got it? Everybody else clear on. All right, any other questions? Come on, brother.
You said only 2 were in the promised land, right?
Yes.
Was Aaron was one of them?
Aaron was not one of them. Aaron died in the wilderness. It was Joshua and it was Caleb, I believe. Let me triple check that for you, but I believe it was Joshua and it was Caleb. All right. Anybody else? Any other questions? Come on, brother.
So there was only 2 that went to the promised land, but the other tribes from the other kingdom came to the
No. Understand this. We left out of Egypt, right? It was thousands of us.
Right.
Millions, almost a million. I don't know what the number is exactly, but it's a lot of us. We were in the wilderness for 40 years.
Right.
The people that physically walked out of Egypt, they all died while we were in the wilderness. But them people that walked out of Egypt, they had children, right?
Right.
They was making babies in the wilderness, right?
Oh, yeah.
They was raising up new children in the wilderness. 40 years, you can get a whole 2 generations, right?
Oh, yeah.
That's who walked into the promised land.
Oh, so the children was the one that went into the promised land.
Yes, they were not living in Egypt though.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why I said the only ones that lived in Egypt that walked into the promised land was Joshua and Caleb. Everybody else that lived in Egypt, they did not see the promised land. They died in the wilderness. Their children and their children's children walked into the promised land.
Right. Okay.
Come on.
Understand that. All right. Now I'll read. It was 2 kingdoms, wasn't it?
This is way later. This is a lot after Egypt. Yes, we eventually ended up in 2 kingdoms.
Okay.
But this was not at the time when we came out of Egypt. We came out of Egypt. We was 1 nation, 12 tribes.
Okay.
All right. The two kingdoms came way later.
Okay.
We'll get into that in another class. All right. You solid?
All good.
Anybody else had a question? You had a question, officer? Now?
I did. It was off the topic though.
Come on with it. We know this topic.
I want to get into King Charles. That boy.
King Charles of England or King?
Yeah.
Okay, this is which King Charles? King Charles II that came after King James.
Right.
It was James 1 and 2, then it was Charles.
Right.
Okay, what do you want to know about him? You want to know the history of him?
Yeah, I want to see if you know anything about him.
I know King Charles II played a heavy role in the slave trade. He was the English king that gave the okay for the slave trade to go forward all the way. Before King Charles II, England was involved in the slave trade, but it wasn't very heavy as far as North America was concerned.
Right.
Slaves didn't start really coming into North America by the English until King Charles II. All right, so during the time of King, a lot of people try to say King James had a hand in slavery. King James did not have a hand in slavery. The English were not involved in the slave trade in America until the early 1600s. So under King James was ruling when? Yeah, he came in like the late 1500s.
Yeah.
He was out by the 1620s. He was out. You understand? England didn't become heavy in the slave trade till about the 1640s or 50s. All right. So I can get into the details about King Charles II in a later class. I just don't have enough on him right now to really break it down. But he was the first English king that was heavy into the slave trade. All right. Any other questions?
He was an Edomite?
Charles II? I can't say for sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I know King James was a black man.
Right.
King James was the sixth. He was the sixth James of Scotland, right? When the king that was in England died, King James of Scotland became King James I of England. He unified Scotland and England through the royalty. He unified the bloodlines. He was king over England and king over Scotland. After him, his son James II came into power. I believe it was James II came into power. After James, I'm not sure where Charles II came into play. I'm not sure if he was a cousin that was ruling somewhere else, if he was a part of the court of King James, or if he was King James' son's son, which would have made Charles his grandson. I'm not too sure on that. I had to get in the researching and find out the direct history of the bloodline. All right. So we good on that. I want to go into tonight. We're gonna go into slavery, right? Got this book here called Slavery: A World History, written by Milton Meltzer, right? I'm not sure. I haven't thoroughly researched Milton Meltzer yet, but he's an Edomite researcher. Done a lot of research. A lot of the things that are written in this book, you know what I mean? He did a lot of research into going into the history of slavery in ancient times, how it was practiced in the different civilizations in Egypt, ancient Babylon, the Greeks, the Romans. You know what I mean, going way back. And the second half of this book deals with slavery from the Renaissance up until today. All right, so the Renaissance era is when this white man came to power in Europe, started whitewashing everything, made everything white. It's really when white supremacy began. It was heavy about this book as he goes into how slavery was not a racist institution in ancient times. In ancient Greece and ancient Rome, being black, being white, tall or short had nothing to do with you being a slave. Black people owned slaves. Black people had power. White people were slaves. White people were poor, had power. White supremacy did not come into play in the world until the Renaissance era. All right, but I want to get into this book and I want to get into slavery as an historical topic because a lot of people are confused about what exactly slavery is.
Right.
We all hear slavery, we think your back getting whipped and being hung from a tree. We think American slavery. American slavery was very savage. You understand? What the white man did hasn't been done in other places in the world. The way he enslaved us, beat us, whipped us, stripped our history, our heritage, our culture, wouldn't let us read. This is not something that has been practiced everywhere on the earth. Everybody understand? Slavery is, however, a necessary aspect of human civilization. Everybody understand? You cannot have an empire without slavery. You cannot have a thriving civilization without slavery. You cannot have a ruling class without having someone who serves that ruling class. Everybody understand? So we're going to go into the history of slavery. I'm gonna go into the Bible and show you how the Lord gave us laws about slavery. There's a humane way to rule over someone. There's a humane way to have someone be your servant, be your slave, and it doesn't have to be you raping their daughters or raping them or raping their wives. That's not slavery. A lot of people, we say we're gonna have slaves when we get in the kingdom, right? A lot of people think that means we're gonna be raping white women. We're not gonna rape nobody in the kingdom. Everybody understand? We're not going to, have sex with a white man's wife or have sex with a Chinese man's wife and then give her back. That's not slavery in the Bible. You understand? Even in the Bible, slaves there's a certain level of humanity that you have to treat a person with. And we're gonna go into the Bible. We're gonna get the details of slavery as the Lord prescribes it. You understand? And we're gonna talk about slavery as existed in the history of the human race. Everybody understand? First, I'm gonna get a couple definitions, right? Let's get the definition of the word slavery. It might have a dictionary.
I got a soccer thing.
Come on, brother.
Slavery, like labor force today.
It's exactly like the labor force today.
And when they first when they first came to the United States, they was only come here to be like a servant, like labor work. After I think it was 7 years, they were supposed to let free. That's why there was a lot of blacks in the United States that wasn't slaves.
Okay.
Their family was already here, because there was a law that the first ones that came to the United States was the ones that were just here for labor.
But this is what you gotta understand, brother. When it comes to slavery in America, you got to be real careful.
Yeah.
You got to be real careful when you talk about free blacks and how they came here, because there was different areas where slavery was instituted differently in America.
Right.
You can't just say in America some blacks came to be free servants or workers, because that was not that free labor did not exist in the South in America. There were no free blacks coming to America to pick cotton. There were no free blacks picking tobacco. Hear me out. That's what I'm saying. There were some free blacks that came to work in New York City, that came to work in Boston doing shipbuilding and building houses and doing farming.
Right.
But you got to be careful when you say free blacks came over here, because that makes some people think that slavery wasn't horrible, that blacks migrated here to just work, and that's not the case. You understand? In schools now in America, in public schools, they teach the transatlantic slave trade was not a slave trade where we were forced to be slaves and put on the bottom of ships and brought over here. In public schools now, they call it the transatlantic migration.
Right.
You understand? To migrate means one group of people says, hey, there's nothing good for us here. We can't make no money. There's better opportunities over there. Let's go travel there to work. That is not what black people did coming to America. There was not a single group of black people that said, you know what? Life in Africa ain't really working out for us. Ain't really no money to be made here. Let me go to America where I can get a job. That never happened. Everybody understand? There was not one single black man that was in Africa that said, I'm gonna go to America to get a job, and he sailed over here. We came to America on the bottom of slave ships, forced on those slave ships by Africans who went to war with us in Africa, rounded us up, kidnapped us, forced us in chains, took us to the white man and sold us. That is how we came to America. You understand?
They were the Africans who did that, right?
Yeah, raise your hand, brother. The Africans were the ones that put us in slavery. They were the ones that, put us in captivity. But now, real quick, let's go into the dictionary. I'm gonna get the definition of the word slavery out of the slavery.com, all right, online. Everybody can see this. Let me see if get the TV working, so everybody can get a visual of what it is that we're reading. All right, somebody, if y'all can see it on the TV, you read this definition of slave for me for the class. Hold up, make sure this is working. Just plug. Everybody can see that, right? Let me see if I can get somebody to read it for me. This is the dictionary.com definition of the word slave, officer none.
Slavery. Salakia. Is that
Slave.
Slave.
Yeah, slave.
Slave. A person who is the property of and wholly the subject to another.
A person who is the property of and wholly subject to another. Read on.
A bond servant.
A bond servant. What is a bond servant? Someone that is bound to serve you for a set price.
Right.
I mean, this person paid to have you serve them. Everybody understand? A bond servant. Read on.
A person entirely under the domination of some influence or person.
Now, there's a slave that is not someone's property. There's a slave that is not bound in chains, that's getting their back whipped. There's another slave that is a person entirely under the domination of some influence or person. Everybody understand that? That is not physical slavery. That is mental slavery. You understand? Physical slavery, you're somebody's property. I own you. Mental slavery, you're under the domination of some influence of a person. Y'all see that? That's a little different than in chains. All right. Now I'm gonna go into this book. This is the book Slavery, A World History. Right. And I'm gonna read to y'all Slavery, A World History. Let me get this is page 3. It's the third paragraph. It says, what is a slave? The dictionary defines a slave as a person held in bondage to another. The root of the word is a national name, Slav. The adaptation of Slav to slave comes from the time when the Germans supplied the slave markets of Europe with captured Slavs. Thus, a national name that meant glory became perverted by chance or malice to mean servitude. This aspect of the history of slavery will be discussed in a later chapter. It goes on and says, a slave then is a man who is the property of another. Property is something owned, land, goods, money, that to which a person has legal title, and the owner has the exclusive rights to possess, enjoy, and dispose of this property. Everybody understand? So being a slave means physical slavery means a person owns you and they can do whatever they want to do with you. You like their horse or their cup or their shoes. Everybody understand? A little bit more. Often the word chattel is used in connection with slavery. Chattel means property or capital. Everybody understand? Like you have a car is capital, a house is capital, land. Something that you have in possession, but you can sell it at a higher value. That's capital. You understand? If you own a house, you go to the bank and get a loan, the bank is going to say, how much capital do you have? You say, I own a house, I got 3 cars, I own a record company. That's your capital. That's things that you use to make money. Everybody understand? That's a slave also is categorized as capital. It goes on and says it means livestock too, such as cattle or slaves. Now I'm gonna read, this is the white man explaining slavery in his mind. Everybody understand? This is the 4th page. It says to possess something, to hold property means to have unlimited power over it. The slave is subjected to his master, not just to his authority, but to the full exercise of his master's power. That power has always been used to compel the slave to work. A free laborer, meaning somebody that's working for free or they're choosing to work, can stop working whenever he likes. It may sometimes be at the risk of starving, but he can quit. The slave cannot. His life is like a tool in the hands of his master. The power of the master enables him to use that tool for his own purposes. In the master's eye, the slave has no will. And the reason why I just read that is because I want us to understand something. Being a black man in America, you are not a free laborer. Being the descendants of slaves in the Western Hemisphere, blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, we are still in the same situation that our ancestors were in when the white man physically had us in chains. Why do I say that? Now, if we're slaves in America, who are free laborers? Somebody give me an example of somebody that has a choice on whether or not they work here in America. Officer, no.
Somebody that comes from money in their background.
No, too hard. Somebody that comes from money in their background. Why do you say that? Why do you say somebody with money in their background has a choice to work or not?
Because if they stop working, it ain't gonna affect them.
If they stop working, they're gonna affect them. How long?
Until they deplete their fathers or their mothers' resources.
Okay. So if their fathers and mothers' resources can be depleted, can they choose to not work? No, they're gonna have to go to work. So if you're a black man whose family had money, you just say, man, you know what? I ain't gonna work. I'm just gonna live off my parents' money. Their parents' money run out, then what do? You gotta work. Now, let's use that example for a Chinese man in America. Say you're a Chinese boy. Your parents worked hard, made money, had a fortune, right? You born, you raised up in America. You just say, you know what? I'm not going to work. I'm going to live off my parents' money. Once that Chinese boy runs through his parents' money, what options does he have to survive on the earth? He can go back to China. He ain't got to work. He ain't got to be a slave to the white man. He can get on a plane and go back to China. And what does he get when he go back to China? He'll get welfare. He can go be a manager of the company. He can go use his American education and start his own business, make a new fortune. Right. He has the choice of going back to China. Same with an East Indian child. Same with an African child. Same with a white man. Now, your parents from Mexico, and they come over here and work hard and make some money. You a Mexican and you decide, I'm not going to go to work. What happens when you run out of money? Can you go to Mexico? Can the Mexican government get welfare for you? Can you go to Mexico and use your American education to get a fortune? No, you're Puerto Rican. You born in America, you raised in New York City, your parents made money doing whatever. They died, leave you the money, you just kick back. You run out of that money, you gonna go back to Puerto Rico? Puerto Rican government got welfare set up for you. They got a system in place for you to become rich in the Puerto Rican whatever business they got. No, everybody understand. There's a difference between the status we have here in America and the status that these other nations have. We are slaves because we don't have a choice in life. Either you work or what? Or you starve to death. You're a black man in America now. You ain't got to go to work. You ain't got to have a 9 to 5. You can just say, you know what, man, to hell with this system. I ain't going to work. How you going to put a roof over your head?
That's right.
How you going to put clothes on your back? How you going to eat? As a black man in America, you can't even be a bum in America. You understand? You a black man, a healthy black man in America. The shelter is only going to house you for a small amount of time before they put you on a work program where you got to go out and seek a job every day. You understand? Welfare ain't unlimited and forever. You understand? Even the welfare they do give you is not enough for a person to even sustain themselves. If you're a black man in America or a man in America and you work a minimum wage job, don't you know that you cannot provide housing for yourself anywhere in America? Let me get the statistics for y'all. If you are a human being in America, all right, if you work in America, right? If you're a man and a woman in America and you make minimum wage, I'm gonna pull this map up for y'all so y'all can see what kind of housing you can afford. All right, if you work minimum wage in America, give me 1 second. Nope. There we go. Pull this up. See if I can get it going. Just so y'all can see this. And this spells out. Hold on. Oh, man. All right, real quick. Everybody see that, right? Real quick. Give me 1 second. Okay. 1 second. Make sure I get this so everybody can see it. So if you live in America and you make minimum wage, this is what you can provide. This is what you can afford as far as housing is concerned in America. Photos. Get it big. All right, so give me 1 second. Okay, here we go. This is the hours at minimum wage needed to afford rent. In no state can a minimum wage worker afford a 2-bedroom unit at fair market rent working a standard 40-hour work week. Everybody understand that? If you live in America and you work a 40-hour job at minimum wage, you cannot afford a 2-bedroom apartment anywhere in America. You understand? If you working at McDonald's and you go to apartments.com, you just wasting your life because there's not a single apartment that you can find for rent. Everybody understand? So if you're a man that got a kid, 2 kids, or whatever the case may be, or you're a single black woman, got a child, you working a minimum wage 9-to-5 job, you cannot provide housing for yourself. Does everybody understand that? Now, if you're a Chinese man in this position, you can just go back to China. If you're a French man in this position, you can go back to France. If you're African, you can just go back to Africa. You understand? Right. But as a black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man and woman, you asked out. Everybody understand? Now, America's supposed to be the land of the free and land of opportunity. These other nations come over here, they make money, they got businesses in their communities. We are the people that don't have no businesses. We are the ones that got to go to these other nations for help. Everybody understand? And that leaves us in a position where we have no choice but to serve these people. You understand? Let me get real quick. Let me get Deuteronomy 28. Where the Most High prophesied the predicament that we find ourselves in here in America. The Lord promises that if we didn't obey him and keep his laws, that we would be in the situation that we find ourselves in today. Let me know when y'all get it. Come on, Officer Knock, you had something?
Even in Alaska, you need to make more than 80 hours a week.
Even in Alaska, you need more than 80 hours a week. Now, let me ask y'all, if anybody can do some math, how many hours are there in a week? Does anybody know?
Well, in 5 days is 40. So you know,
5 days ain't 40 hours. 24 times 7. Quick math real quick. 20 times 7 is 140. 168. 168 hours in a week. You got to work 80 in order to provide housing for yourself. How many hours do you have left for yourself? 88 hours. You have 88 hours left. You work. That's working 12 hours a day to do that. To do 80 hours in a week is working 5 12-hour shifts. Everybody understand that? Or is it more than that? That's 7 12-hour shifts. To work 80 hours in a week is 7 12-hour shifts. Now, that's not strange to our people. That's something that black people are doing right now. I personally know a lot of people who work in 7 12-hour shifts, whether it's 2 jobs, 3 jobs, you understand, 5 days of 12 hours, picking up some side work. That's how we living and surviving in this place. And that is how we have been forced to live and survive in this place for a very long time. Everybody understand? By the definition that the white man put forth, we are slaves still today in America. Let me get Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 48. Let's get the prophecy the Lord put down for the children of Israel. Young brother, come on with it.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness. The
Lord said in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness. The Most High said we was going to serve our enemies. And that's what we're doing here in America today. If you hungry, go get a job. If you thirsty, go get a job. You want some shoes to put on your feet, go get a job. You understand? You want to put a roof over your head, go get a job. The Lord said we were going to serve our enemies for one of all things. You understand? Where you going to get this job? There's no black organization established to give black people work. Everybody understand? There's no, there's no black African American union of workers. You're gonna get a job, you're going to go to the white man. You understand? He's the only one that even hire you. You can't go to the Chinese and get a job. Go to Chinatown and try to get a job. Go to the carryout that you grew up on with fried chicken and fried rice and ask them for a job. They're gonna tell you hell no. Go to the Arab bodega, try to get a job. Have y'all ever seen a black man working at Crown Fried Chicken? I've been in Philly for 4 years. I ain't seen it yet. Is there any black people work at Crown Fried Chicken? No, you can't go to Crown Fried Chicken and get a job. You ever seen a black man working at 7-Eleven? You seen a black man gas station attendant? These things I've never seen in my life. I've never gone to the gas station at 1 in the morning, leaving from wherever I'm at, and it's a brother behind the glass. Young man.
You know, it's funny. I seen one black woman working at A+.
You seen a black woman with you came up because I couldn't even find that. You understand? I could not find that.
But it's funny that it was a woman.
It was a woman. Now they give a black woman a job. That's because sometimes, unfortunately, they had sisters doing all types of nastiness, bowing down to these heathens on these jobs. You understand? But as a man, it's unnatural to just bow yourself down to another man. Everybody understand? Officer Yanaquan.
So if I could, you right about that. Because you know what I'm saying, I seen, but even though you know, when you go into the Chinese stores where they have the you know, the baristas and stuff, you see some of the sisters in there, and then you also see you know, like in some of the, like, you know, the what do you call this, the seafood place.
Yeah.
You'll see some brothers like on 69th Street, you know, down here.
Yeah.
Like where, you know, where Oriel and them live.
Yeah.
So it's like on that corner, and you know, when you go down, when we go into this house, we turn that corner, but there's a crab shop right there on the corner.
Yeah, I'm here.
And his brothers is working there, but you don't see many, like you said. That's true. Majority, you don't even see, you know.
A lot of, like I said, a lot of times these places won't even hire you. They won't even give you the time of day, young man.
I've seen one black brother working 7-Eleven, but I believe he is a homosexual.
Come. So you know what I mean? He get a job at 7-Eleven, but he got a full out beating out of black man. To be a homosexual is not. To be a homosexual is not. It's like anti-black. You cannot be a black man and be a homosexual. You know what I'm saying? To be a homosexual robs you of pride and strength and swagger. I've never seen a homosexual with no type of swag about him. You see a homosexual, it's like, this cat's fruity, man. What's wrong with him? You know what I mean? I've never in my life, even in the world, seen a cool homosexual. It's like they can't exist. To be a homosexual and you black makes you a white man. And to be a white man is to be uncool. They don't want to grow up and be, you know, whatever white man people idolize. Who the hell wants to grow up and be him? You understand? But that's what being a homosexual makes you. You understand? So like the brother said, if we do get a job amongst these heathens, you got to be a homosexual or you got to make yourself like them. You get a job with the Arabs selling oils, you got to put on a dress and a kufi and say assalamu alaikum. And even then the Arabs look at you like, you know, you're disgusting. The brother told me a story about Islam that made me sick to my stomach. You understand? Them Arabs do not look at you with no type of honor, no respect. And it goes for every other heathen whose culture that we try to join ourselves to. Everybody understand? So I'm gonna go. Now we pull the scripture. I'm gonna go back to the book and read a little bit more. Right? It says, "What is the effect of a relationship of absolute domination? What does slavery do to the slave's personality and to the master's? For both, it is a moral disaster. It seems safe to say that a sense of one's own worth is at the root of morality." Now, does everybody understand what he just said? The sense of one's own worth is at the root of morality. What is morality? Does anybody know? Young man. Your morals, the values you live by. That's what morality is. Your sense of what's right and what's wrong. They said at the root of your sense of right and wrong is your worth. How do you value yourself? Now, if you have low self-worth, then what is your right and wrong like? Meaning, if you don't value yourself, what does right and wrong look like to you? Right. If you have low self-worth, are you going to have a high standard of what's right and what's wrong? For example, look at a brother or sister on drugs. To be on drugs and to be strung out on crack or heroin or whatever the drug may be, you have a low self-worth, which means right and wrong to that person doesn't even really matter in their life, which is why a person that's hooked on drugs will do anything to get high. They'll offer to give you oral sex. A woman will offer to give you her body. A woman with a child will offer her child to have sex with you so that they can get high. A person who doesn't have a high sense of self-worth, their right and wrong is at a very low standard. They don't have morality. Someone living at the bottom doesn't have morality. When they feel like their life isn't worth anything, they don't care about right and wrong. These brothers out here that's robbing and murdering and killing, what do they think about themselves? Think their life ain't about nothing. I'd rather be dead than to be broke. I'd rather it be said that I died, you know, robbing and hustling than to be said I died on my knees like a slave. That's how our people thinking, which is why you see us committing the crimes that we commit. Why you see us murdering each other, robbing each other, and just living a horrible life. We don't value ourselves. Who do we value though? We do value the lives of the white man, which is why brothers will kill each other in the streets, but they won't kill the white man. White man running the church and shoot 9 black people, we'll go march and protest and ask him to take a flag down. But let a Negro step on your shoes in the club, you'll blow his brains out. You understand? That's at the root of morality is the sense of your self-worth. I'm gonna read on. It says, by denying a man's humanity, slavery prevents him from developing a sense of human dignity. And that is what has happened to us in America. We have been denied our humanity. The white man does not treat us like we are human beings. He treats us like we are things, like we are his slaves. And because the white man does not value our lives and treats us like he doesn't value our lives, over the years, we've learned not to value ourselves. And because we don't value ourselves, we don't have a sense of dignity. You understand? A black man will do anything to get on. Everybody remember that show, Making the Band with Puff Daddy? Them cats was so desperate to get a record deal. Puff Daddy said, walk to Brooklyn and get me some cheesecake. Everybody remember that? Them cats walked to Brooklyn to get cheesecake. Why did they walk to Brooklyn to get cheesecake? Because there ain't no shame in my game. You ever heard that before? Ain't no shame in my game. I'm just trying to get paid. These cats walked now. Your life you gotta be desperate for a cat to tell you to walk to Brooklyn for some cheesecake. And that's on the big. I'm just bringing it up because that's a major example that a lot of people can relate to. But we see those types of things every day. Get a good job. What you got to do? Shave your beard, talk like this, speak proper English. I know cats in the hood, man. F you, I kill you, dog. Something. They pick up the phone as they boss. Hey, Mr. Smith, how you doing, sir? Yes, sir. No problem. Get off the phone. Man, I hate them crackers. Man, I can't stand these devils at my job. But you straighten up when master come around. You understand? That's how we've been trained, and we've adapted ourselves to that way of living. You understand? It says, as for the master, the habit of domination tends to poison every aspect of the master's power of self-control. Let me read it over. As for the master, the habit of domination tends to poison every aspect of his life. For when the master's whim controls every movement of his slave, the master's power of self-control is weakened and destroyed. The master who recognizes no humanity in his slave loses it in himself. Now, what is the white man saying? The white man is saying, when you rule over somebody to a degree that the white man has ruled over us, you also lose your sense of right and wrong. You lose control over yourself to stop from doing the most horrible, horrendous things because there's no consequences. When you look at America today and you see black men being murdered by the police, and you ask yourself, how could they just kill people like this? These people have ruled over us for so long with no consequences that they don't have a sense of right and wrong. The white man that murders you for your music being too loud, that murders you because you ran when he said stop, that murders you just because you had a hoodie on past 9 o'clock at night, does not feel that what he's done is wrong. because he does not recognize your humanity. Everybody understand it? Because he doesn't recognize any humanity in you, he himself is not human. The white man is not a human being. The white man does not have compassion and empathy and normal human attributes that make you treat another person with respect. Everybody understand? Why? Because he's ruled over us so long that he's lost the sense of right and wrong. The white man has no morality for a different reason than why we don't have morality. Why don't we have morality? Because we have no self-respect. We have no dignity. We are not treated as humans, so we don't see ourselves, we don't see our lives as having value and worth. The white man is not a human because he's ruled over us for so long that he doesn't know how to be a man anymore. He doesn't know what it means to have respect and kindness and compassion. Everybody understand? I'm gonna get a scripture. Let me get Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 1. This is a heavy scripture that I like to go to anytime there's a tragedy or the police killing somebody. The Lord spelled out what it is that we go through in America on a daily basis. Everybody understands? And this scripture lays it out real clearly here. Let me get Ecclesiastes 4:1. When anybody got it, read it.
Ecclesiastes.
Hold up. Who got it? Imad. Let Imad read. Officer Imad, come with it.
We have the book of Ecclesiastes 4, verse 1. So I return and consider all the oppressions that are done under the sun.
Now, this is the brother said he returned and saw all the oppressions that are done under the sun. Where is under the sun? Does anybody know? Imad.
Earth.
He's seeing the earth. He's seeing all the oppression on the earth, right? Read on.
And behold, the tears of such as were oppressed.
The tears of such as were oppressed. He saw the tears of them that were being oppressed, right? Read on.
And they had no comforter.
He said they didn't have no comfort. The people that's being oppressed, that's crying, there's no one to comfort them, no one to make them feel good.
Right.
No one to tell them it's going to be all right. That's blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in America today. We go through the most horrible conditions imaginable. I mean, so many brothers have grown up with mothers who was on crack. Daddy wasn't there, or he was hustling, or he had your mother hooked on drugs, or he was locked up in jail. Had an uncle who was a homosexual that molested you. Your sister, your mother used to get high and let you, teach your sisters how to be hoes and teach them how to be sluts, or taught you how to hustle and sell dope so that she could get high or make some money. I mean, we've been through the most horrible situations imaginable. You at night in your bed and you crying, ain't nobody there to tell you it's gonna be all right. Ain't nobody there to tell you, man, this is just, this is how you get yourself out of this situation. We oppressed, and there's no one to comfort us when the tears running down our faces. Read on.
Cut. And on the side of their oppressors, there was power, but they had no comforter.
And on the side of the oppressors, there was power, and we had no comforter. I mean, on the side of the oppressors, guess what there was? They had power. You understand? This white man murder you in the streets. Guess what happens at the end of the day? The Fraternal Order of Police comes to the press conference and says, we're going to make sure that this officer is found not guilty of any wrongdoing. There's a system in place for the oppressor that allows him to never face any type of punishment. You understand? And that's another aspect of slavery that I wanted to get into. But come on, Officer Imad.
Now I was gonna say that's so deep. Now I'm saying that you broke it out, just like how you was bringing out China. You said when they poured, they can go back to China because they have power and wealth and riches. But when we poor, we can't go to nobody because we don't have no comforter.
You understand? There's nobody to get us out of the situation we in. But these other nations have advocates. Now, you wanna know why Chinese people ain't getting murdered by the police? You think the police love Chinese people? The white man love Chinese people? Hell no. Do we love Arabs? Hell no. Do we love East Indians? Hell no. But why isn't he murdering them? Chinese don't get high. They don't sell drugs. They don't beat their women getting domestic abuse situations. Yes. These people are human beings just like us. They do the same things we do. They get high and fight and go to parties and kill each other. But why isn't the police murdering them in the streets? You want to know why? Because they have power. Let the white man murder some Chinese. China will send delegates to the U.S., to the government and say, listen here, we got the button ready to press it. Let another Chinese man get killed. And y'all going to see what China about. They kill the East Indians. East Indians say, listen here, all of them companies that y'all sending, y'all got jobs. Listen, the East Indians control every human resources department of every major company. You ever called your cell phone lately and tried to get an extension on your bill? The cat, you don't even understand the cat. This is this is Mumbutu from Mutubika. You understand? You can't understand that cat. Why? Because he over in East India somewhere. Would you like an extension on your bill? Let me see it. You gotta work with him to try and get a deal. Now, let some East Indians start getting killed. Let 7-Eleven start getting robbed in mass numbers. East Indians will say, listen here, all these cell phone bills ain't getting paid if y'all don't stop our people from dying. We'll shut it down. You understand? The white man does not love these other nations, but he respects them because they have power. We don't have no power. We are the people that don't have no power, that don't have a comforter. Everybody understand? On the side of the oppressor, there's power, which allows them to treat us the way that they treat us and get away with it. Everybody understand? But that it should not be this way. You understand? But this is the situation we living in because we are still in a situation of slavery. You understand? Now, a slave is a person that is property, right? Someone that is dominated mentally by someone else. But a system of slavery cannot exist unless there's a system in place that makes it profitable. Everybody understand? Slavery in America and slavery in the world is only possible because there's a system in place to protect the interests of the slave master. Here in America, we still slaves today. What stops us from breaking free? I'll tell you, there's a system in place that is designed to keep you a slave. In America, as a black man, let's say you're very educated, you're very knowledgeable, and you go to the white man's schools and you excel, you get good degrees. Don't you know there's a system in place that will block you from getting government loans and bank loans at a low interest rate so that you can start a business in your community? Right. We look at rich black people that get rich and leave the hood like they evil and they leave in the hood. But even if they tried to stay and build a business in the hood, the white man makes it so complex and so cost effective for them that you cannot even make no money with a black business in the ghetto. Now you can put black people to work and help them get themselves together, but you yourself wouldn't be able to make no money. And in America, when you go to business school, they teach you that in any business that's not worth making money off of, you shouldn't invest in. To be a black man that's rich in America and to make a business that will help black people, you would have to starve yourself, which is why Commander General Yohanna is the only man that has done it. To do the job that we're doing in the ISUPK takes men who don't care about themselves.
That's right.
You have to make money and say, here, this is for the family. This is for the brothers. I'm gonna still catch the bus to work. I'm still drive this car from 1982. I'm gonna still work 60 hours a week. You understand? You can't help black people and live good. Now, when I say live good, I mean live wealthy. Live where you relax and kick your feet up. The white man has made it so that if you want to help black people, you're going to struggle yourself. You understand? But for the Chinese, you want to know why the Chinese and the Africans and the East Indians come over here and they're able to start these businesses? Because the white man has made deals with their governments for very low interest rates. The building, y'all see this store down the street, Brownies, right? The loan that they took out for Brownies is half of what it would be if you tried to take that loan out. Be a black man and try to buy property on this block and have a business. A white man will charge you double what he charges the Chinese. You understand? Why? Because there's a system in place to keep you a slave. You want to go be an entrepreneur and start your own business, the white man is going to block you from doing that. You understand? You go out here, just go get a job. You understand? There's a system in place to take every dollar that you make and funnel it back in to the white man. There's taxes that come out your check every week. You got to pay rent to live, right? Well, who's your landlord? The slave master. You got to buy clothes, right? Well, who owns all the clothing stores? The white man. You got to eat, right? Do we have land that we own? Is anybody growing their own cattle? Anybody know somebody raising corn? In Philly, no. You take that money you make, go get some food, it goes right back to the white man. It goes back into the system. Right. Let's say you want to rebel against the system. You don't want to go to work. I shouldn't have to be a slave, man. I'm a hustler. I'm going to get my own way. Say you want to start slanging waters. Go to Sam's Club, buy a 24-pack of waters, right? You buy a 24-pack for $4, you sell each water for $1. You make $20, right? Don't you know that the police will lock you up for having an unlicensed business?
Right.
You understand? There's a system in place that is designed to keep you as a slave. Let's say you just want to rebel, period, and say, the hell with this. I'm going to start robbing these Chinese and robbing these Arabs that's making money off of my people. Why do you think they got the police for? The police come lock you up and throw you in jail. When you go to jail, what do you become? You become a free labor. There's a lot of things being manufactured and produced in prison right now in America. All those black men are working for free. All those Hispanics are working for free. But there's a company who owns 95% of the stock in this prison. So as black men and Hispanics fill this prison up, what's happening? He's getting paid. His investment is paying off. Everybody understand? Slavery cannot exist without a system that allows it to perpetuate itself or allows it to continue going on. And that is what America is for a black, Hispanic, and Native American Indian man.
Right.
It is a system in place that's designed to birth you a slave, raise you a slave, and make sure that you raise children that are slaves. The only way we break free from that is through the truth of the Most High. Everybody understand? Officer Imad, you've been dying. You want to say something?
Y'all gonna say, that's real deep. Now I'm saying because today a whole lot of college kids, they going to college. Right after college, they get a job, but because of the white man system, once they go to college and actually get that degree, now they still owe thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on student loans.
You're still a slave. You understand?
That's right.
And then the way slavery today, and it's always been this way, but slavery in a lot of ways is exacted through the money you make. They call it a wage slave, meaning you're working just to pay somebody else. How many of us really is working for ourselves? How many of us can say that? Even a brother or sister that work at Walmart, you're not working for yourself. You're working for the government. You're working to pay them taxes. You're working to pay that rent, pay that electric. You understand? Because you need it to survive. We are completely dependent on this system, on the white man's system, for all the things that are necessary for life. Water. Imagine try to go 30 days without going to the white man for water. You'll die in 3 because where can you get water from that doesn't come from the white man? Don't you know that it is illegal in some states in America to collect rainwater? You cannot put a bucket. I can pull it up for you if you want me to. They lock you up for collecting rainwater. Let's say you decide I want to, man, to hell with this white man. Bottled water, I'm done with it. You throw the bottled water out. I'm living off the land. I'm gonna be a free man. They catch you collecting rainwater, they will throw you in jail. They will throw you in jail. You understand? Come on with it, bro.
Yeah, I was just quote on the water thing. So you got Philadelphia, you got to pay water on the rainwater that runs off your roof.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. You cannot collect rainwater. You cannot collect the rainwater.
Runs off your roof. You have to pay.
They will throw you in jail. You cannot grow if you have. Let's say you have a backyard. You lucky enough to have a big backyard. You can't grow any fruit back there without getting a license from the government. I dare anybody try to grow a pound of apples or a pound of potatoes in your backyard. If the government finds out, the police finds out, you're going to jail for producing agriculture unlicensed.
His neighbors snitch on you.
Neighbors and the neighbors will snitch on you. Why? Because the neighbors mad. Neighbors mad because this nigga getting free water. I gotta pay for my water. They'll throw you in jail. It's hell, man. We living in hell, and we are complete slaves by every definition. By every, you know what I'm saying. Imagine every definition imaginable. We slaves in America. Come on up.
I went to my real mom crib. She Jamaican, down Canton.
Huh.
So she got cucumbers and tomatoes in her backyard and all this crazy stuff. I'm like, yo, you growing cucumber? I was blown away. Yeah. I had never seen nobody do that, and I guess that's why, because it's illegal. I didn't know that.
It is illegal, and a lot of us don't do it not because it's illegal. A lot of us don't do it because we just don't know how to do it.
Right.
I mean, like, you just don't know. How do I? If I wanted to plant a potato garden, I wouldn't know where's the first place to start. You know. All right, let's get Ecclesiastes 9 and 10. It goes to the brother question about being a gynecologist. You understand? Any type of work that you do, man, there's a way to do anything, not anything. You know what I'm saying? As long as your job is not unlawful, there's a way that you should do anything that you get put in charge of. Everybody understand? Let's read this, see what the Lord said. Read Ecclesiastes 9 and 10.
Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 10. Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with might.
Read it slowly. Read it one more time.
Whatsoever thy hand findeth to do, do it with might.
Read it slow. Yeah, slower.
Oh, whatsoever thy hand findeth to do it with thy might.
But whatsoever your hand findeth to do it with thy might. What does that mean? Iman.
Meaning, don't half-step in nothing.
Don't half-ass, man. Whatever you set forward to do it with everything you got. Be the best at it, man. Why not? Why don't you not? You understand? And that goes for everything in life as well as any slavery you got. Now, don't be silly and be the, you ain't got to be the greatest street sweeper ever. That ain't what the Lord's saying. You understand? The things that you put yourself, invest yourself in, make the best out of it. You understand? Now, if your job is being a street sweeper, make sure you're at work on time. Make sure you're there the 8 hours they need you to be there. Just do your job. You there to make your money, just make the money. You understand? Whatever your slavery is, if the goal is to make this money so I can pay these bills and save up so I can do this and do that, but then make sure you're at work so you can make the money. Make sure you can save. Make sure you're saving if that's what your goal is. Make sure you're doing the things that need to be done. Whatever you set yourself to do it to the best of your ability. Everybody understand? And that comes to serving the Most High, raising your children, you know what I mean, being an honorable man that's respected. Do those things well. You understand? Don't be known as a cat that had potential. When I was in the world, I was a cat that had a ton of potential. Oh, he could do this and do that. And I would start to do something and I would never finish it. You understand? And I prayed the Lord when I came into the truth that I would not be that man anymore. That I would be a cat that if I started something, that I would do it. And thanks to the Most High in Christ, for the most part, I've shaken that potential nonsense. It's something that I set myself to do. I do it. Right. Everybody should be that way. You understand? You ain't got to be that cat that had a ton of potential. You can be the cat that does it. That's what the Lord is talking about. Read on.
Do it with thy might, for there is no work, nor device, nor knowledge, nor wisdom in the grave whither thou goest.
And do the work you can while you're here, because when you die, ain't no more work to be done. Right. Ain't no more knowledge to be expounded upon. Ain't no more teachings, no scriptures to break down when you're dead. If you're going to do something, man, do it and do it good. Do it to the best of your ability. And let that be your legacy. Because once you're dead, ain't no legacy. Right. When you're dead, you're only be remembered by what you did. So everything you do it to the best. Everybody understands. That goes to that. Let's go back into the slavery, man. Like I said, this book is real heavy, man. Today, some of us are lucky enough. Some of us have been lucky enough to get out, to go to college, right? Get a good job. The problem is, because of the way the white man's system is established, someone who makes it looks at you like they're better than you, or they're on a higher level. You understand? The cat that, is the manager at Walmart looks at the cat that works at the sanitation job like he's doo-doo. He's shit. You get on the train. I used to be in construction. I used to get on the train, and these broads that work as secretaries would put their nose up at me. And I would be on the train dirty as hell because I worked 8 hours and long and hard. But I'm making more than these broads. And I know I'm making more than these broads because we all eat lunch at the same place. I'm downtown working at construction site. 12 o'clock, everybody go to lunch, right? So I'm at lunch at the Chipotle with the lawyer broads or the broads in nursing school or whatever. I hear them talking about, girl, you gonna let me borrow $5 for this lunch today? I don't get my check till Friday. They, you know what I'm saying? I can tell they in certain situations they struggling with money. They don't know I'm making good money. I'm dirty and sweaty and I'm hot as hell all day, but I'm paid at the end of the week. And I would get on the train, dirty and smelly and looking like I've been through hell. And these broads wouldn't even want me to sit next to them on the train. Get on the train and bitch all looking at you all funny, or she move her bag, or she go stand up when you go to sit down, and I'd be like, no sweat. You think you're doing it with your little government job, not knowing I'm making $20 more than you, Shorty. I could buy you back and forth twice. You understand? These people, these people with these government jobs, they look at us like they doing better than us. We're gonna go back into this book and we're gonna show you that these cats with government jobs is no better slaves than you and I. All right. It's page 79 in the book Slavery of World History by Milton Meltzer. All right. It says, besides the domestic, the agricultural, and the industrial slaves, all privately owned, there was another kind in Greece, the public slave. So this is talking about in the land of Greece, the different types of slaves they had. And they had domestic slaves. What is that? A house servant. Somebody lives in your house, raises your kids, the nurse, the cat that lay your suit out every day. You understand? Domestic slave, meaning he's in the house. The agricultural slave, somebody that works in the field, picking cotton, growing corn, doing whatever field work needs to be done. The industrial slave, again, that blue collar work, somebody that works as a plumber, electrician, shipbuilder. These were all things that were in Greece. You understand? Same things, same type of jobs we have today, type of jobs they had in ancient Greece, right? There was another kind of slave, though, the public slave. We're going to read about the public slave. It says the governments of the city-states bought workers to perform public services. Everybody understand? The government would buy workers to perform public services. Now, these are services that's not for somebody's house, not on somebody's plantation. This is for the city, for the government. It says that this was especially typical. Hold on, give me 1 second. 1 second. Try to give me 1 second, y'all. Trying to do this thing right. I want to put this up for the people on the stream to be able to see it. 1 second. Bear with me. All right, going back, it says the governments of the city-states bought workers to perform public services. This was especially typical of the cities distant from the heart of Greece. The barbarians nearby were a cheap and convenient source to draw upon for forced labor. For example, the public works department in Epidamnus, now Dorazo in Albania, was staffed entirely by slaves. The professions in Chalcedon, now Kadikoy, Turkey, at the entrance to the Bosporus, were filled completely with public slaves. In Athens, the policemen, strange as it seems, were a slave corps of 300 Scythian archers. They were armed and had the power to arrest free men. It is difficult to imagine black slaves in the American South armed with guns and having authority over whites. Athenians also used public slaves. Now, we're going to find out how public slaves were used in Athens. It says the Athenians also used public slaves as inspectors of weights and measures, as heralds, registrars, accountants, scribes, and executioners. Slaves staffed the mint and swept and repaired the streets. Now, what does that sound like today?
Police officers, sanitation.
Police officers, sanitation. What do we call those?
Trashmen.
What do we call those type of jobs?
Blue collar.
The blue collar, but they special type of jobs. To work for the city is different than just working for a private company. What's the difference? You work for the city, you got a what kind of job? If you work for the city, what kind of job you got?
City could be, they could be both white and blue.
No, it could be white and blue, but there's a title that we give city jobs. Working for Walmart is different than working for the city of Philadelphia. No, it's not blue collar. No, it's not for the city. Let's say you work for the state. Say you work for the young man.
Ladies always say they got a good job or how they say
these jobs is special to us. As black people, you get one of these type of jobs, you special.
That's right.
Young brother. Career. No. Trooper not. I mean, officer not.
Government job.
Government jobs. Black people with government jobs think they didn't made it, right? I got a government job. I'm better than you. I got a government job. Or you working doing this and doing that? I got a government job. Well, guess what? Government job is still slavery. You just a public slave. You just ain't a slave for some private corporation. You a slave for the state, a slave for the city. You understand? Government jobs been around since forever. And slaves have always been used to do the government jobs. Everybody understand? Well, let's go through some of these things. Inspectors of weights and measures. Does anybody know what that is? An inspector of weights and measures.
That's like weights and measures. Weights and someone that weighs. All right, like you have to weigh a freight train.
Yeah, you got to weigh a freight train. That's the type of somebody that works at the docks. Shipments coming in, they got to weigh the box to see how much it is. Cut like a customs official. Who work customs jobs? Black people. Who at the customs agency doing this and that, making sure or at the airport, you getting on with a bag, they got to weigh your bag. How much does the bag weigh? You seen white people working at TSA? No, it's black women that's at the airport checking your bag when you get on the bag. Oh, it's a black man. You understand that? Those are government jobs. You understand? Trooper, officer, not.
Basically, the fueling, the airplane fueling.
Airplane fueling. You understand? Weighing of measurements and weights and measures. Heralds. A herald is somebody that is like it's almost like an announcer. And you go to you want to do anything. You want to announce something in the newspaper, right? Who you gotta go to get your ad posted? You gotta go to the city paper. You understand? 9 times out of 10, the person you're gonna deal with is a brother or a sister. Now there's a white man that's the editor-in-chief or whatever, but you're gonna go to somebody and say, "Hey, I want to submit this to get an ad run." It's gonna be a sister sitting behind that desk. You understand? Registrars, just like DMV. Going to get an ID, go to get a driver's license. You want to register for a new city. You just moved to Philadelphia. You want to transfer your license over. Got to go to the DMV. Have you ever seen white people work at the DMV? So like, I don't know how it is in Philly, but where I'm from, there's no. I just was at the DMV the other day. There's literally no white people at the DMV. It's all black people working at black people and Hispanics at the DMV. Mean as hell. Officer, no.
You get to the DMV, she's like, yeah, can I do my job? She's like, take over there.
Yeah, and you know what I'm saying? But them people with them jobs, they feel like they didn't make it. Why? Because they got government jobs. Everybody understand? I'm gonna read some more. It says, the state paid its public slaves enough to feed themselves and supplied their clothing. They added to their income with tips, usually in the form of food and wine. Government job. What are they famous for? Get a government job. What do you have to buy when you got a government job? Gotta wear. No, you do. Them sisters working them secretary jobs gotta get a new suit. Gotta get them some new shoes. You work at a government job, you can't wear the same suit more than once in a week. They look at you like, what's going on, Thomas? You're slacking in your apparel. You gotta go to Joseph A. Bank. You gotta go to them. I don't know. I don't wear suits no more. So I don't even know the name of them stores. But them cats that work them government jobs got 50 suits in the closet. You understand? Then what happened when the holidays come around? They have them government job parties. Christmas party, what's there? Drinks, getting drunk, and food. You understand? They have all types of different functions to boost the morale of the government workers. That's what this is breaking down here. Go ahead. They got the what? The benefits, to get the good benefits, you understand? And read some more. It says, the slaves who were made officials were allowed to have their own houses and furniture and could marry and raise children. They took part in religious ceremonies. They could not appear in court, but were given a patron to represent them whenever the occasion arose. As a black man, you get locked up, you go to court. Can you represent yourself? Can you try your own case? Can you have a buddy who studied law be your lawyer? Nah, you got to be certified by the Bar Association. You can't represent yourself in court. You go to court, you got to have a lawyer to represent you. You understand? Why? Because you a slave. You ain't recognized by the court. You got to have somebody that's recognized. No different now than what it was in ancient Greece. Everybody understand? Read on. It says, the public slaves became skilled civil servants upon whom the state relied to carry out the day-to-day duties of the government, meaning these slaves got trained to a point where the city needed them. The state needed them for their work. You understand? They were the ones in charge of running the city day to day. And you look at black people and Hispanics in America today, what would happen if the DMV, if the DMV workers didn't show up? What would happen to the city? The city would fall apart. Why? Because they couldn't register nobody. Registration on your car, your tags, and everything that's done to make the city make money, we in charge of it. We the ones working at the DMV. You know what the DMV deals with? You get a ticket on your car. The DMV is the one that deals with the city getting the money. Let's say we stop going to the DMV. How would the city be able to get the money for all the tickets they done wrote? They wouldn't. How would you be able to get your court date to show up to know when to go to court? You wouldn't. You understand? The city has become reliable, has come to rely on the slavery of these slaves, these public slaves. You understand? It said elected officials came and went in short terms, but the public slaves stayed on the job. With these government jobs, I know a cat that's at work a government job now. When Bush was president, he hated his job because he worked a certain amount of hours, had to do a bunch of paperwork. Barack Obama got elected. He was happy because his job became easy. Barack Obama's about to no longer be president. It's going to be somebody new. But guess who's never going anywhere? Him on that government job. And the people he worked under been there since forever. I got a godmother that's been in government job for 35 years. You understand? Even though the officials might come and go, the mayor might change. You understand? The governor might change. The senators of the state might change. You know who will never change? The government worker. The president changed. He bringing a whole new cabinet of workers to come with him. Whole new secretary of state and secretary of defense. But guess who never changes? The person that punches the buttons on and fills out the paperwork and answers the phone calls. The government workers, they never change. You understand why? Because they're bound into that public slavery job. And once you get a certain type of job and you get used to making the money and used to living a certain type of way, you'll never give that job up. You got a cat that got a good government job. He's been there for 6 years. Get him to quit that job. He'll look at you like you're crazy. He'll fight you over that job. Quit my job? What? You know how hard I work for this job? Hell no, I ain't quitting this job. These brothers that work for SEPTA, you know what you had to do to get in there for SEPTA? Before they let you drive a bus, you got to sweep the floors for about 2 years. Before you get to be able to drive a bus, you're going to have to, you know, take out the trash for 2 years. You can't just be, you cannot just go get a CDL, show up at SEPTA and say, hey, man, I want to drive a bus. Before they let you drive a bus, you're going to sweep the train steps. You're going to sweep the train. You're going to mop the floors. You're going to, you know, take your boss's lunch. You can't just get in these government jobs sweet and easy. Or you got to go to college for 4 years, and then you're paying the white man back student loans. Everybody understand? To get these good government jobs, you got to prove yourself to be a worthy slave. And once you do you jump through hoops for 2 years, making, you know, making minimum wage, they bump your money up $5. You're not going to go back to minimum wage for nothing. You kill somebody before you go back to making $8 an hour if you make it 13. Everybody understand? This government job's been around since forever. It's just a public form of slavery. You ain't bound to just a single master. You bound to the city, bound to the state. Everybody understand? One more line. It says, he became indispensable to the officials above him, and as the reliable and trusted civil servant, he was usually treated well. These government workers are treated very good because the duty that they perform for their masters is necessary. And without them performing that duty, the city falls apart, the state falls apart, and the white man not gonna let that happen. That's why them government jobs are sweet. You get your government job, man, you living by slave standards, you living good. Everybody understand? Officer not.
Would they be like the movie The Butler?
Just like the movie The Butler. Now, was being the butler a prestigious job? No, it wasn't.
Oh, yeah.
Being a butler, you was a butler. You was the man that's bringing his cat his tea and folding his clothes and brushing the dust off his shoulders. What black man wants to be somebody's personal slave? That's not an honorable job. You feel what I'm saying? Now, does it pay good? Yes. Does the benefits well? Yes. Do you get to have a nice house and a car with your kids and your wife going to good schools? Yes. But every day you got to be a man's slave. You got to be his personal servant. That's a domestic slavery. And today in America, there's domestic slaves all over this country. Anybody ever known a black woman that babysitted white kids? That is a domestic slave. You understand? Anybody? You understand? For a lot of our brothers and sisters that's coming over here from the Caribbean or coming over here from down South America, they come to America and get domestic slavery jobs. Landscaping, that is a domestic slavery. You come to cut somebody's grass every day. That is a domestic slavery. You understand? Officer Yana Kwan.
Yeah, there was I used to work in the service, right?
Come.
And I used to see these sisters, right?
Huh.
They used to come from the Caribbean,
Yeah.
those places, right? So they would, you know, these sisters would be nannies.
Yeah.
And they would, you know what I'm saying, the white people would give them their car,
Yeah.
or, you know, something like that, and stuff like that. They would trade them, stuff like that, for watching the kids.
Being a nanny is a domestic slavery. You an in-house servant. You understand? That's all that is, and it's never gone away. There's still, you go to like Philadelphia, go to downtown Philadelphia in the middle of the day, around 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Go downtown Center City, you'll see black women pushing a stroller with 3 white babies in it. And you like, what the fuck? What is she doing with these 3 white babies? And if you talk to her, she'll tell you she's babysitting. Now, while she's babysitting these 3 white kids, what are the parents doing? The father's at work. The mother is getting drunk somewhere or at a spa getting, you know, getting her whatever done. They got a servant to take the kids out for a walk. Black nannies still exist today. You understand? It's just domestic slave jobs. Everybody understand? Ain't nothing changed, man, from now since ancient times. Only thing that's changed is the knowledge of knowing that you were a slave. The knowledge of knowing you were a servant. You understand? And that knowledge was lost when the white man started to blur the lines between slaves and hired workers. You understand? And we're gonna get that next. We're gonna get into when the line started to get blurred between just being an all-out slave and then being a servant. All right. Let me get so hold up. Real quick. See something. All right, so here we go. Let me see. I thought I titled this. I'm trying to find a excerpt from the book where it talks about the lines being blurred between slaves. Here we go. From slavery to citizenship, right? Go ahead and show y'all when the lines started to become blurred. Today, a lot of our people don't think that they're slaves. They think that they've been freed, right? What are we taught in high school? Does anybody know? What are we taught in the white man's public schools? Does anybody know about slavery? Come on with it, Officer Knox.
Emancipation Proclamation.
Emancipation Proclamation, right? They said Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves, right?
Right.
But let me let y'all in on a little secret about the Emancipation Proclamation. If you get a legal dictionary, now, Webster's dictionary is a good dictionary, right? English dictionary tell you the definition of words. There's another type of dictionary, which is a law dictionary or a legal dictionary. Legal definitions are different than plain English definitions. Everybody understand? Plain English gives you the everyday usage of a word. The legal dictionary gives you the lawful meaning of a word. So you go into court, human being means something totally different in court than it does everyday talking. Human being, we think of a man or a woman born, and you go into court, human being is something totally different. You understand? Emancipation in regular terms means to set free, or to be made free. But emancipation in a legal definition and a lawful meaning is the transference of property. You understand? Emancipation does not mean to set free. To emancipate something means to transfer ownership to someone else. The Emancipation Proclamation did not free the slaves of the South. The Emancipation Proclamation transferred ownership of those slaves out of the hand of the slave owners into the hand of the United States government, which is why right after the Emancipation Proclamation, the white man passed the 13th Amendment to the Constitution. Does anybody know what the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution says?
Don't it say that we is about 3/5 of a man?
No, that was early in the Constitution. In the 13th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, it bans slavery except if you're committed for a crime. So the 13th Amendment said no more slaves in America unless you found guilty.
Right.
And if you found guilty, you're a slave, right? And everybody under the 13th Amendment, all the slaves now became U.S. citizens. The word citizen means one thing in the regular dictionary, means something different in the legal dictionary. You understand? You had to get a legal dictionary to look it up. But the word citizen does not mean what you think it means. You get a legal dictionary, the word citizen means something different. The word emancipate does not mean to set free. Black people were not freed by Abraham Lincoln. Ownership of the slaves were transferred from the slave owners to the government, which is why after the Civil War, the slave owners in the South were paid reparations from the government. Why were they paid reparations? For loss of property. What property did the slave owners in the South lose during the Civil War? They lost their slaves. Everybody understand? There's a reason why the U.S. government paid all the slave owners in the South after the Civil War. The reason was to compensate them for having taken all of their slaves. The slaves now became property of the U.S. government, which is why everybody had to start getting birth certificates. Everybody had to get a social security card issued. Everybody understand? Those things bind you to the government as a citizen or as a slave of the state. Everybody understand? I just want to get that out there. The word emancipate does not mean to set free, but we taught in America, Emancipation Proclamation, 1865, black people were set free. We were not set free. We were no longer personal slaves of the slave owners. We became slaves to the government. Everybody understand? Moving forward from that, this is how slavery transitioned to citizenship in ancient times. We have page 218 in the book History of Slavery, right? It says, beginning in the 8th century, when the Carolingians became rulers of the Frankish domains, a great many slaves began to be emancipated every year. Again, that word emancipated. Marc Bloch, the French historian of feudalism, believes that the masters favored this policy because the economy was changing. The great farms of the past, were the old latifundia, which is what they were called in Greek times, were now subdivided and masses of slave labor were no longer needed. So they get into a time where they didn't need slaves anymore, right? But what did they need? They needed farmers. They needed somebody to work the land, pay rent, right? It says greater wealth could be derived from the exaction of rents and services than from the operation of vast estates. So instead of having a plantation where you got slaves in the field all day and you feeding them, you know, feeding them some food and providing housing for them, it was cheaper to break that big plantation down into little farms, let the slaves run the farm, but make them pay you rent on that farm. Make him pay you for all the food he grows on that farm. It went from you being a slave on a plantation to you owning your own farm. But instead of, and now that you own your own farm, you got to pay me rent every month. You understand? You want to get fresh cows delivered, you got to pay me rent. You want to get fresh water from the river, you got to pay me rent. This is where the transition started to happen from you being a slave, getting your back whooped, getting beat, to being someone who owns your own stuff, but you got to pay me rent. Everybody understand? It said more power too would come from a protective control over free men than from the ownership of human cattle. Meaning it's more power. If you have more power, if you get free men working on their own, than if you just a big boss ruling over a bunch of slaves. You got a bunch of slaves. What do the slaves want to do? They want to get free, right? How do slaves get free? They got to revolt. You got to kill their master. Well, what if you set those slaves free and say, I'm no longer your master. You're your own man. You're free now. You own your own land. Just pay me rent because I'm letting you have this land. You got a lot more power that way, don't you? What if you want to raise one cat rent? You can raise his rent. You tell this other cat, I'll make your rent cheaper. Now, when they get mad at you, are they going to agree with each other? Are they going to come together and fight against you? Because one cat got low rent. Hey, man, my rent low. I'm good over here. You jammed up, man. I'm sorry to hear that, man. You got to deal with it on your own. The white man learned how to deal with slaves. Learn how to not be subject to revolt. Treat them like they free. Treat them like individuals. They'll feel better about themselves. Everybody understand? It said, and the voice of the church finally was being heeded as men concerned with saving their souls freed their slaves as an act of special piety, meaning the church started to get involved and people thought that freeing their slaves made them holy, made them honorable. You understand? It says such generosity, of course, was carefully fenced to ensure some material benefit to the master, meaning what? even though you was being generous and freeing your slave, you still wasn't all the way generous. You understand? You was nice, I'll set you free, but you understand that but is always gonna jam you up. So let's find out what the but was. It said some slaves, and this was rare, were freed without any strings attached. Meaning some slaves, look, man, you're free, do your own thing. That was very rare. This is what usually happened. Most freedmen were made responsible to their former masters or a new one, often the church, in whose care the master placed them. Such obligations were considered hereditary, meaning if your father was a slave and the slave master said, hey, you can go be a carpenter for this man, your son would also have to be a carpenter for that man. Meaning whatever conditions was put on your freedom would be hereditary, meaning your children would inherit it. It said such obligations were considered hereditary. So although the emancipator lost a slave, even though the man that traded you, set you free, or you was no longer his slave, lost a slave, he or another gained a dependent. So you no longer have a slave, but you have somebody that's dependent on you. And because they're dependent, they're going to have to pay you in order for what you got to give to them. Everybody understand? It said, hold on. Under feudalism, this arrangement assured the freedman of a needed protector and usually made him the tenant of his patron. A yearly poll tax levied on the freedman by the patron was common too, and so was the practice of taking a part of the freedman's heritage at his death. Although technically free, the former slave paid a price for the protection given him by the master who was now his patron. And look at us in America today. White man said he set us free during the Emancipation Proclamation, right? But what does every one of us have to do if we have a job? We all got to pay taxes. We all raise kids. What happened during the Vietnam War? You black people had children, but guess what? You're going to have to give them up for this war effort. They drafted to have black people forced to go fight for Vietnam. Why was your children forced to go fight? Because that's one of the conditions of you being free. You get to choose where you go to work, get to choose where you live. No problem. Make sure you pay these taxes every year, and make sure that if a war comes up, you send your children to fight. Right. Everybody understand? That's how slavery transitioned to citizenship. Went from being on the plantation to now paying rent. You understand? Went from working for no money, the master giving you clothes, giving you a roof over your head, giving you food, to now being a man that's not a slave, but you got to pay your rent. You got to pay the water bill. You got to pay the electric bill. You got to go to the grocery store. You can't grow your own food. Everybody understand? Again, all of this is because of the system of slavery that exists now and that has always existed on the planet Earth. You understand? Slavery is something that we will not be able to get rid of on the planet. In order for the earth to function and for human beings to live together, there has to be a master, there has to be a servant. Right. And when Christ comes on this earth, it will be no different. The setup will be no different. Christ is going to be a king. The children of Israel are going to be the royal family under Christ. And the white man is going to be the slave. The African is going to be the slave. The East Indians are going to be the slave. The Chinese are going to be the slave. Everybody understand? Next week, we're going to go into the Bible more and show the laws that the Lord put in place for slavery. And we're going to go into this book and show you how the laws of the Lord in the Bible are different than how slavery has been practiced by every civilization except for ours. Everybody understand? Slavery, when Christ comes back, is going to be best for these other nations. You can look at every nation on the planet right now. Over there in China, is there rich Chinese people? Yeah, but there's also Chinese people that sit in a room all day making apples, computers, making cell phones. All these cell phones we got over here, some Chinese cat sat in the room for 18 hours of a day putting this thing together. Now, he shouldn't have to work 18 hours of a day. You know why he's working 18 hours of a day? Because some evil rich Chinese bastard wants money from America. So they make their people slaves, you understand? To sit in the room all day and make cell phones and make Michael Jordan shoes and make, you know, Gucci shirts. That ain't how the earth's supposed to be. Christ getting rulership. Them Chinese people that's slaves and that's poor and that's servants right now, they're going to have a job where they get to tell somebody else to work for 12 hours a day. You understand? They're not going to be the same slaves that they are now. Now, they ain't going to be royalty. They ain't going to be ruling, but they're going to be treated better than they're being treated now. You look on the TV at them infomercials at night, African kids are starving, bellies all big, and they flies looking at their eyeballs. Now, there's some Africans who live in gold mansions. They drive golden cars. You don't believe it? Look on the internet. Type golden car on the internet, and you'll see an Arab or an African dancing around their golden car. You understand? Now, while there's rich people in all these places, there's someone that's poor, that's starving to death, whose families being raped and their villages being raided and they being murdered and slaughtered. That's going to come to an end when Christ comes on the earth. Everybody understand? There's going to be classes established. The poor, the very poor, the super servant, super slave, you understand? And then you'll still have bosses. You'll still have the manager of the business. You'll still have the cat who's in charge of all the rest of the slaves. It'll be better when set up following the laws of the Most High. Everybody understand? Obviously on the Quran.
Yeah, they say when the wicked is ruling.
Yeah, let's close out with that scripture. Matter of fact, Ecclesiastes. No, it's not. Ecclesiastes 7:7. Let me see it. 1 second. Any other questions before we close out the class? Let me get Proverbs 29:2. And we'll close out on Proverbs 29:2. Again, for the next few weeks, man, we're gonna go into the slavery book, go into the history of slavery, we'll go into the Bible, discuss, what slavery is, how the children of Israel were ordered to conduct themselves with their slaves. And you're gonna see, man, when Christ get here, the evil that's going on in the earth today is not going to be going on. You understand? Now, there's going to be vengeance paid on all the slave masters that's on the earth today. White man, not the only slave master. No, all these places around the world, there's slaves and there's slave masters. There's going to be a price to pay for all these slave masters. Everybody understand? But these things, that the vengeance of the Lord is still going to be dealt out with obedience to the Most High's laws. You understand? Righteous men are not going to be raping Chinese women, raping white women. You understand? You ain't going to have a white man as your slave and you go rape this woman in front of him. None of that nonsense going on in the kingdom. You understand why? Because there's laws in place against those things. We're going to discuss that next week. All right. Proverbs 29:2. Young man, you got it.
Proverbs chapter 29, verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice.
When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. Everybody understand that? That's what the kingdom of heaven is going to be like. That's what life is like in I.S.U.P.K. You understand? In I.S.U.P.K, guess what? We are slaves. Who are we slaves to? No, officer, not. The Most High in Christ. I'm a servant to the Most High in Christ. You understand? Remember that mental slavery? When you ruled over you dominated by the what is it? Let me see, get back the definition from the what's the name? A person entirely under the domination of some influence or person. I am a slave to the Most High in Christ. You understand? I am dominated of the influence of the Most High's laws. You understand? The example that Christ said is the example that I want to live by. Everybody understand? I am a slave to the truth, man, and that's what all of us should be, because we're going to be servants still when Christ returns. Now, is it evil being a servant to Christ? Is it a horrible thing being a slave to the laws of the Most High? No, the Bible say when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. My life has never been better than when I came into the truth. When I came into the truth, guess what? I didn't have the freedom to be an evildoer. I didn't have the freedom to smoke weed and have sex with hoes and get high. But I did have the truth of the Most High. I did have a knowledge of how to live right, which took away me wanting the freedom to get high. Everybody understand? When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice, man. There's nothing but rejoicing in the I.S.U.P.K, even though we are all servants to the Most High in Christ. Read on.
When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn.
But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And what's going on all over the world, man? People are mourning. Why? Because the wicked are in authority. Right. The white man is the wicked, and anybody who follows the white man is the wicked. And if anybody that's under the white man's authority is mourning. Everybody understand? There's mourning all over this planet under every nation. Why? Because the white man is in authority. When Christ returns, the earth is not going to be so, and everybody's going to rejoice. And with that, pass class over to priest and officer I.S.U.P.K.
All right, let's clap.
When nowadays I work hard on the job till I come cross y'all. Still like I'm a criminal. Crime to get caught, it could be your first charge. Like, man, you ain't getting the minimum. It gon' dip, squat, 5 mile run, push, pull, sit on, goddamn, strong. Looking at my baby, trying to keep them doing wrong. It's too long for they grown, I can't leave them on their own. They killed Daddy like he had a 30-day case. The news covering up the story for what they say. It took me back to the time we lost Otis. Pretending these crackers, they gon' tell you something bogus. And I'm thinking like, damn, what you tell the kids? We try to put up a fight, but did we